Before we raised our glasses to toast my husband and me, Patricia's voice cut through the chatter like a siren. Before we toast to my son and his wife, she said into the microphone, her tone commanding attention, I have an announcement. I smiled, champagne in hand, expecting some kind of warm acknowledgement. I was wrong. Daniel, she continued, her gaze locking on him, you have a decision to make tonight. Her or your future. The entire room froze. Someone gasped. My stomach dropped. Divorce her, Patricia said, her voice cold and sharp, or we cut you off. Everything, the company, the inheritance, all of it. I turned toward my husband, waiting for him to deny it, to say something, anything. But he just stared at the floor. My name is Skylar. I'm 31, and I work as a veterinary technician at a small clinic on the east side of town. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. I've never had wealth, never worn designer clothes, never had a trust fund waiting for me. I paid my own way through community college while taking care of my sick father. I've always had to fight for stability. I thought Daniel admired that about me. I thought it mattered. We met 5 years ago at a volunteer animal shelter. He was there with his company's charity program. I was there because I actually cared. He didn't seem like the others from his world. He was gentle, funny, and real. 2 years after we married, I truly believed we were building a life on love, not money. His family tolerated me at first. They asked polite questions over dinner, smiled for photos, and pretended to approve. But underneath it all, I could feel their judgment. My modest background was something they couldn't overlook. My simple job, my off-the-rack clothes, they didn't fit into their world of status and perfection. The anniversary party was supposed to be a celebration of us, proof that we had survived their scrutiny. Instead, it turned into a public execution. After her cruel announcement, Patricia didn't stop. She kept going, her words slicing through me while the guests stood frozen. We've been patient, she said, scanning the crowd. We've been kind. But Skylar has brought nothing but embarrassment to this family. Heat rushed to my face. I wanted to vanish. She began listing every supposed flaw of mine like she was reciting a report. I hadn't joined the country club. I refused to quit my little animal job. I wore a simple dress to their gala. Each word was like a slap in front of 100 people. Then Daniel's father rose from his seat. Son, he said firmly, we're serious. You can have your inheritance and your role in the company. Or you can have her. But not both. I looked at Daniel again, praying he'd say something. Anything to defend us. He didn't meet my eyes. Then his sister-in-law, Amanda, stood up with that smug grin she always wore. Honestly, Daniel, she said mockingly, did you really think this would last? She doesn't even know which fork to use. Laughter rippled through a few tables. My hand shook so hard I had to put down my glass. Daniel, I whispered, please, say something. He finally spoke, his voice low. Can we talk about this privately? That was it. That was all he could manage. Patricia shook her head. No, you've had 2 years to come to your senses. We're done watching you throw your life away. Daniel's brother walked up and dropped a thick envelope in front of me. Divorce papers, he said casually. Already prepared. Sign them tonight. Take a fair settlement and disappear. The room went dead silent. Even the music had stopped. I stood slowly, my legs trembling. You want me to sign these right now? Patricia folded her arms. Unless you prefer to walk away with nothing. Then Daniel did something I'll never forget. He reached forward and slid the papers closer to me. Maybe we should just talk about this, he murmured. Weak. Defeated. That's when I finally understood. He wasn't going to fight for me. He never was. After that night, Daniel moved into the guest room without a word. No explanation, no apology. He just grabbed his pillow and walked away. The next morning, he ignored my calls and my texts. I'd hear his voice through the walls, whispering to his family. I know. I'm handling it. Handling me. Like I was an inconvenience to eliminate. Then Amanda posted photos from the party on social media. She picked the worst ones, me standing alone while Patricia glared from the stage. The caption read, "Some people just don't belong." #family first. My coworkers saw it before I did. A week later, My debit card was declined at the grocery store. I thought it was a glitch until it happened again. When I checked our joint account, it was empty. Every cent gone. That night, I confronted Daniel in the kitchen. "What did you do?" I demanded, holding up my phone with the bank statement. He didn't even look guilty. "My father advised me to protect my assets during this transition." Transition? I repeated. He didn't respond. That word, transition, broke something inside me. I used my own savings to cover rent and bills. He stayed in the same house, silent, detached, waiting for me to disappear. 2 weeks later, I saw the final betrayal. Daniel's family hosted their annual charity gala. I wasn't invited. I only found out when a friend from the clinic showed me photos online. Daniel standing next to Rebecca, the daughter of Patricia's wealthy friend. They looked perfect together, polished, glowing under the lights. Patricia had posted a caption beneath one of the photos, "So happy to see Daniel with someone who truly reflects our family's values." I stared at that image for a long time before I could breathe again. My coworker touched my arm gently. "Are you okay?" she asked. I smiled. "I will be." I went back to work the next day. Fed the dogs, cleaned the cages, answered calls, smiled at clients. But something had shifted. I stopped waiting for him to care. I stopped hoping for his family's approval. Instead, I started documenting everything: transactions, dates, messages, every word that could prove what they'd done. I recorded when it was legal. I kept receipts, emails, screenshots. They thought I was finished. They thought they'd humiliated me into silence. But they had no idea what was coming next. They wanted me to sign those papers and disappear quietly. 2 years of trying to earn their approval, to belong in their polished, privileged world, and now they wanted to erase me with a check. Patricia called one afternoon, her voice sharp and self-assured. "Just sign the papers, Skylar. We'll give you $50,000 to go away quietly. That's more than generous for someone like you." "Someone like me?" I asked. "You know what I mean. You're not one of us. You never were." Then she hung up. I sat there at my kitchen table, staring at the unsigned divorce papers, the silence pressing against my ribs. They thought I'd crumble, that I'd just fade out of their perfect little world. But they didn't realize I'd been preparing for this moment for months, maybe longer. I'd seen too much, heard too much, and I'd learned to pay attention. At dinners, I noticed the conversations that stopped when I entered the room. The quick glances, the smug little jokes about charitable generosity. Daniel's family adored talking about their foundation, their pride and joy, their symbol of virtue. But behind the bragging, I caught whispers of creative accounting and smart structures. One night, after a few too many drinks, Daniel's father leaned back in his chair and laughed. The IRS couldn't trace our donations if they tried. The whole table laughed with him. I smiled too, but I remembered. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a veterinarian. But I'm not naive. I started collecting things. Screenshots of Daniel's emails left open on our shared computer. Photos of text messages before he deleted them. Recordings of conversations, legal in our state. Notes about charity trips that were actually family vacations. Mentions of educational grants that never reached a single student. One night, his sister Amanda got drunk and confessed, laughing. "The scholarship fund? It's just for show. No one actually gets anything." I didn't argue. I just took mental notes. At first, it was insurance, a shield just in case. But after the anniversary party, after being locked out of our joint bank account, after seeing Daniel smiling beside another woman in photos, I realized this wasn't protection anymore. It was my weapon. I called Sarah, an old college friend who'd become an investigative journalist. We met for coffee and I showed her everything. Her eyes widened as she flipped through the evidence. "Skylar, this is serious. This isn't just tax evasion. This is fraud." "I know," I said, and I'm done staying quiet. 3 days later, a call came from an unfamiliar number. "Mrs. Whitmore, my name is Martin Cross. I was your husband's family attorney for 30 years. I think you should hear some things." We met at a quiet cafe. Martin was elderly, with silver hair and a calm, steady gaze. He didn't waste time. 2 years ago, Patricia asked me to do something unethical involving the foundation. I refused. They forced me out with an NDA and a settlement. He pulled a folder from his briefcase, but I kept copies. Insurance, like you. Inside were financial records, internal memos, and emails that mirrored what I'd already found, proof that the Whitmore Foundation was a facade. Why are you helping me? I asked. He smiled sadly. Because I'm old, Skylar, and I'm tired of watching them hurt people. The next day, I received a formal letter from their attorney. I had 10 days to sign the divorce agreement, or they'd accuse me of being unstable and irresponsible. Their smear campaign had begun. When Daniel came by to pick up the rest of his things, he wouldn't meet my eyes. This didn't have to be ugly, he said. It became ugly when you let them lie for you, I replied. He didn't answer, just zipped up his bag and left. Sarah called that evening. I've started digging. The foundation's financials are full of holes. If this goes public, it'll be explosive. Over the next week, Martin and I compiled everything: bank statements, audio transcripts, tax records, witness statements. Every piece of the puzzle fit perfectly. They thought I was powerless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 weeks later, both sides gathered for mediation downtown. The conference room was sleek and glass-walled, overlooking the city. Patricia arrived with Daniel and their attorney, Richard, a man who oozed arrogance. He slid a paper across the table. $25,000. She signs a waiver, gives up any rights to assets or alimony, and we're done. Patricia smirked. That's more than fair for a 2-year marriage. You didn't really contribute much, did you? I said nothing. Martin reached into his briefcase and placed a thick folder on the table. We have a counter offer, he said coolly. Full independent audit of the Whitmore Foundation, and these documents will be submitted to the IRS and the State Attorney General. Patricia's face drained of color. What documents? Daniel demanded. The ones proving your foundation is a fraud, I said evenly. Fake donations, off-the-books accounts, misused grant money, a scholarship fund that never helped anyone. One by one, I laid out printed emails, transcripts, and statements. I have it all. Dates, numbers, names. Richard sputtered, these are illegally obtained. Not at all, Martin replied smoothly. And even if they were, the Tribune has already reviewed the material. Their story goes live Sunday. Patricia's voice trembled. You wouldn't dare. I stood. You told me I wasn't one of you. You were right. I don't belong in a world built on deceit. Daniel's mask finally cracked. Skylar, wait. We can fix this. Patricia tried to soften her tone. What do you want? Money? We'll triple the offer. I looked her straight in the eye. I want an equal split, and I want you to leave me alone. Try to ruin me, and everything goes public. Every email, every dollar. Silence filled the room. Richard leaned in, whispering frantically to his clients. Patricia looked broken. He finally cleared his throat. My clients accept your terms. The divorce was finalized within 2 months. I received a fair settlement, enough to rebuild my life. The Whitmores quietly paid their debts to the IRS and restructured their foundation, desperate to keep things quiet. There was no headline scandal, but they knew they'd lost control. Daniel texted me once, I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you. I deleted it. Some apologies come too late. I moved to a new city near my father, took a job at a progressive animal hospital, surrounded by people who valued honesty over image. 6 months later, I adopted a scruffy little terrier no one else wanted. I started volunteering again, just like before I met Daniel. Life had come full circle. They tried to make me small, but I walked away taller than ever, with something they'll never buy back. My dignity.